You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Joe Masato over at the Oklahoman had his power rankings come out, and really it was a question of where does Oklahoma fit in 2024 preseason SEC power rankings. And I mean, we can go down the list real quick until we get to Oklahoma. Number 1, Georgia. Number 2, Ole Miss. Number 3, Texas. Big eye roll. You didn't see it on the podcast side. Number 4, Alabama. Number 5, LSU. Number 6, Missouri. Number 7, Tennessee. Number 8, Oklahoma. Texas A&M comes in at 9 and Florida at 10. So Jay, I'll let you start here. What's your reaction to where Oklahoma ranks in these preseason power rankings?
So I think Joe is subscribing to the not 2024 for Oklahoma, but 2025 and beyond, we will. And more so, he's got the questions of he wants Oklahoma to prove themselves, right? So I filled out my bracket. I mean, my power rankings as well, because everybody that went to SEC Media Days got a chance to be able to fill it out. Those that are credentialed got emailed a ballot to fill it out. And this is what I filled mine out for. You're going to be a little bit surprised. But first off, I had Georgia, Alabama, my number 3 team, Oklahoma, Texas, Ole Miss at 5, LSU 6, Missouri number 7, Tennessee 8, Florida at number 9, Texas A&M 10, and then below that, you got Auburn, Kentucky, Arkansas, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and then Mississippi State. And the reason why I put mine there, and which I understand why he put his at 8th, as he noted, is because of those coordinators coming in. And he felt like if Dylan Gabriel was there, Oklahoma would be top 5. Totally get that. It's mainly because he's been there. He's this dude that we've seen for years. Totally understand that. But me personally, this guy, no. I see that Oklahoma has a really good chance of really showing out this coming season. And I think Jackson Arnold's going to be the real deal. So I have no reason to really doubt what they're going to be preparing him for, especially because I know that he is being forged in fire in practice every day.
Well, I was a little bit surprised that you were higher on Oklahoma than I was. I had him 4th in my preseason SEC ballot. So, right about the same. And for really the reason is because I'm high on Jackson Arnold. I'm a believer. And yes, Oklahoma Sooners podcast, Oklahoma Sooners writer, definitely going to look a little bit more favorably upon Oklahoma. At the same time, the talent is real. Yeah. He's got the arm. He's got the intangibles. He's got the mobility. All of it is there for him to be really, really successful. And the coaching staff believes in him. You don't just turn away an experienced veteran that just had a great season like Dylan Gabriel unless you're 100% confident that Jackson Arnold can be better than what Dylan Gabriel was last year. And I think that's the thing that we're sleeping on a little bit is that, okay, the ceiling for Jackson Arnold is much higher than what it was for Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel was great. He was fantastic for Oklahoma, but he had limitations. Jackson Arnold doesn't have those limitations. The only limitation Jackson Arnold has right now is experience, but he's going to get that and some this year. And after those first 3 games of the year, he's going to have more than enough experience to put Oklahoma in a favorable spot to win a lot of games this season in the SEC. Any surprise about, some of the teams that might have come in ahead of Oklahoma, according to Masato?
Yeah. To be honest, we expected Texas up there, but Missouri as the number 2 team really, Ole Miss, that really surprised me. I wouldn't expect anybody to throw Ole Miss up that high. And Ole Miss comes in with the highest rated, they're the top transfer school, right? They don't get recruiting classes that high. They go out and go after the top players in the transfer portal and just pay them that way, right? They like to pay the retail prices. They don't like paying wholesale prices. And not all the time, if you're going there going for those retail prices, are you really getting the best deal or even the best quality product? You're just getting what sounds like it's good on the shelf, when in all actuality, if you find out at wholesale, sometimes you can get a better deal on an even better product. It doesn't seem like Ole Miss is recognizing that. They're going to play the retail game. And I'm going to go ahead and say, hey, I want to see if it can come to fruition. It's no different than what's being done by Coach Prime over there at Colorado. They're playing the retail game right now just to see if they can build themselves enough equity to where they can actually start investing heavily into the wholesale side. Now, for Lane Kiffin, the biggest struggle for them is, recruiting has never been the easiest at that school. So it kind of makes sense to go to alternate route now that you can do that. But eventually you're going to have to get your equity up so that you can start buying more stuff in bulk and getting those really good players like that. So I think that one was the biggest shock to me when I looked at the list. And also there's one school though. I mean, Florida at 10 makes sense because I think Florida's going to surprise a lot of people. I don't know why, it just feels like it. Kentucky as well, right? Since Mark Stoops been there, he's had like 3 years that he's had 10-win seasons. And the way their schedule is set up and how favorable it is, every 3 years, he's basically put out a 10-win season. It was like 3 years ago, he had a 10-win season. And before that, it was 3 years before that, he went 10-3. Right now, the last 2 seasons were 7-6 and 7-6. What's going to be this third year? Sure enough, it looks like he could get back on the trend of another 10-win season. He's got a starting quarterback now in Brock Vandagriff, who we have questions about, but there's a chance that he could shock us all, right? So Brock Vandagriff, the linebacker room is absurd. I mean, J.J. Weaver's got multiple extra fingers. So you've got an advantage right there on top of everything else. I think Kentucky's going to be one that's going to shock everybody.
Yeah, I hear you on Florida. I think they're going to be a team that is probably better than what their record indicates this year. I mean, that schedule, we talk about Oklahoma's schedule being tough. Florida's schedule is absolutely brutal. The non-conference alone is really, really tough. But then you look at their conference schedule and it's just ridiculous. Like I was listening to, I think it was Locked On SEC or Locked On College Football, one of them, and they were talking about Billy Napier and just making a bowl game might be enough for him to get himself off the hot seat a little bit. So yeah, I think you could argue Mizzou maybe being a little bit high there, but again, they're coming off an 11-win season, which was Eli Drinkwitz's first in Columbia, his first season over 6 wins. We'll see if he can sustain that. And I have Alabama still at number 2. To me, Alabama's got to prove they're not Alabama for me to knock Alabama back a little bit. I had Georgia 1, Alabama 2. I think I had Ole Miss 3, Oklahoma 4. And then I want to say I had Texas down at 6. I need to see that Texas can withstand losing 11 players to the NFL draft.
No, that's fair.
Steve Sarkisian hasn't shown me sustained development yet. And if they can do that and they can go have a successful season, I'll have a little bit more respect for what they can do next year. I'm just a bigger believer in Brent Venables and the defensive staff there. That's why I have them ranked ahead of the Texas Longhorns. But we get to find out here in 6 weeks' time when the 2024 college football season kicks off, and we'll all be glad for it. I know you as the Locked On Sooners listener will be glad to start finally talking about fall camp, which kicks off in just a couple weeks, or I think just next week, actually. Yeah. And then we get football season with Temple August 30th. So we're almost there, guys. It's going to be fun. So make sure you tuned in with Locked On Sooners here every single day. He's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We're going to catch you next time. Boomer Sooner.